What is up, everybody? It is your boy Farai. Thank you once again for tuning in to another video, man. I hope you're doing well. I know everyone out there in America are dealing with the cold right now, man. Hopefully you're staying warm, staying indoors, and getting some work done. We're going to be getting straight into another question and answer. Appreciate you for being here, man. Definitely make sure to smash that like button, comment below, asking for any future videos you'd like to see. And let's get into another question and answer. Let's get it. Alright, Alex L. Rod asks, how did you become a mix engineer? Alright, that is a good question. I probably started recording when I was about 16. I'll also add value to this question by showing you some ways that you can become a mix engineer, because I do believe that there are many people I've met so far that watch this channel that are more than capable of being great mix engineers, great studio owners, and great musicians. So hopefully my story can add value to yours and help you kind of figure out how you can approach the industry and get some good money out of it. So yeah, man, pretty much I started off with my own home studio. I remember buying a M Audio M Track and a Behringer C1 microphone and just recording. I was really interested in this idea of recording, and my friends were using FL Studio, and I thought, man, that's mind-blowing, right? You can do this on a computer, insane. So I started messing around. I got really interested in it. I started learning more about the different plugins. I started learning more about the theory, you know what I mean? Because I would pull up an equalizer and like wonder, what is this, right? What do I do with this? And I started watching the few tutorials that were available online. 2010, 2011, there weren't too many tutorials out there. There were guys like Wallbeats, BusyWorks Beats was around back then, so shout out to BusyWorks Beats. There were lots of people that wanted to know more, but there just wasn't the available information. So I bought some books on mixing and recording, and I got a bit better. I did my own mixtapes and that kind of thing. I learned a bit about Photoshop, and I had the skill set that I was building up, right? But I knew that I would need to do more. On top of that, I was also doing a lot of live sound. I used to do a lot of sound setup. So I had a PA system that I'd rent out, or I would set up for people. I did a few weddings and that kind of thing. But the money wasn't that great, and I knew I had to take it to the next level. So I thought to myself, what does any reasonable person do? Well, go to the city and go to a university or college. So I signed up for university or a college course, and within the first semester, I realized, damn, man, everyone around me is demotivated. They're unmotivated. No one really wants to do this like I want to do this. I always had this burning fire to do more. So I stuck around for the theory part of the course. It was great. I learned quite a bit. But I knew most of what they were teaching in this semester. And I asked the teacher, what are we doing for the next 3 semesters? And they said, oh, we're going to be doing practical. We're going to go set up a sound setup at a school. And I realized, I've already done this. So I started during the first holiday, I started to look for internships. I started to look for ways that I could enter the industry, you know what I mean, and pay my dues, right? We all know we have to pay our dues in the industry. So I started to look on Facebook groups, Facebook pages of studios that were around my area, as well as just look on the studios' websites to find if they had any internships available, right? And I was lucky enough to find a internship at a studio called Open Room Productions. Shout out to Open Room. Unfortunately, they shut down quite a while ago. Shout out to Carmen, you know what I mean, who interviewed me, and she was cool. And yeah, they needed help, right? They were doing shows every week. They were recording. They were doing all sorts of interesting things, and I just wanted to get involved. So I worked for 6 months for free, and I learned so much, man. I learned more than any studio could show me, or any college course, university course could show me, because I was in the real world, right? Set up those microphones. If you don't, that artist can't record them. We don't get the cash, so we lose. So you had high stakes, right? And that's really what's going to teach you a lot faster than what a college course can, because in college you fail, it doesn't really matter, but in the real world it matters, right? So every day I had to be there at 8:30. I rode a BMX to work every day, and I worked for free. And I just had so much fun, man. I learned so much. I added so much to my CV that when I began to work, it was just a breeze. I got into a media house. A media house is a place that caters to the advertising industry generally, or to private companies that need media-related things done. For example, we did an advert for a billionaire in Africa called Patrice Motsepe. I remember at 1 a.m. being on kind of FaceTime with the guy, and he was talking about all the things he wanted audio-related. And I got to just be around all of these people. But most importantly, what I learned was how to network and how to be around high net worth individuals, as well as how to deal with all of these things happening around you, right? Because you get hired to be the audio technician, but what they don't tell you is that you're going to have to be dealing with the voiceover artist telling you stuff. You're going to have to be dealing with the client telling you stuff. I remember one day working on this advert for a pharmacy, and a big pharmacy in South Africa, and they were talking about how it was going to cost about $200,000 for the ad campaign that they were running this weekend. It was like a Black Friday sale or something. And I remember just like kind of shaking, being like, oh man, these adverts I'm doing are worth about $200,000, right? And it just blew my mind, right? But what I'm trying to say is that being around people and being involved in the industry and working for free and doing all these things are going to give you a way bigger insight into the industry than if you were just to study or just to sit at your computer and mix or make beats or whatever. If you are a producer that wants to be in the industry, look for, part-time work, free work for free on weekends. If you work a day job, come in on the Saturday shift or whatever. Say, hey, I'll do coffee runs, I'll do whatever it is. But getting to spend those 10 minutes, 20 minutes asking some of the higher level paid engineers and managers and all these people, studio owners and whatnot, how the industry works is going to give you miles and years of experience, man. I mean, my taste in gear that I purchased, my management of the studio, all these things I learned being in the real world. So for those who are introverted, I'm an introverted dude. That's why I've got my own business now, because I prefer working in a more chilled environment. But I wasn't scared to go out there and really just do it. So that's my advice for everyone out there, regardless of what you're doing, audio related. Even if you want to be in the video industry, whatever it is, head to a church, work on their sound system, right? Help them out with the video, learn about the process, because while learning the process, you're going to learn about, hey man, this dude is making money off of renting cameras, right? I know people in the film industry that have got mad bank off of simply renting out microphones, right? They purchased like 1,000 microphones on credit, and then they start renting them out within the industry, all because they were boom swingers. A boom swinger is basically someone who records sound on a film set. That's something I did as well, right? I've done all these different jobs, man, and it's added up to the point where I can run my own studio. I know how to communicate with clients. I know how to communicate with other sound technicians. I mean, I remember arguing with somebody coming from the broadcasting network in South Africa. It's like Fox or whatever, called DSTV. And I remember we had an argument about the LUFS standard, and come to find out the video editor had rendered he had duplicated the audio that I had recorded, and it was doubling up on the loudness, you know what I mean? So I had to argue with this and figure out the problems. And, when money's on the line, you got to figure it out, man. So, that's my advice to everyone out there. Get out there into the real world and do the damn thing. The competition is not going to do that, man. You know what I mean? I always take a nice piece of advice to heart, and that was, the bottom floor is always full, but the top floor is always empty, right? If you can figure out how to get to that top floor, you can have a really great time in any industry. So that's my advice to you guys and girls out there, man. So good luck. LolJamie1 asks, when you first started mixing and mastering, what was your biggest challenge? I would say my biggest challenge was being ignorant, right? I know that sounds a bit silly, but really it was me refusing to focus on the basics, right? I wanted to learn about the newest Ozone plugin. I wanted to learn about the newest EQ that was out, that was going to magically make all of my material sound better, instead of focusing on the recording process, instead of focusing on recording the right talent, instead of focusing on how to learn how to sing, all these things, right, that are the most important part of the whole recording process. Is really making sure that you're capturing the best possible performance, the best possible sound quality possible. You know what I mean? That's really, I was too ignorant to really deal with that. I didn't want to learn about the basics, right? I had people coming in the studio who would hold the condenser mic and rap, and none of those things helped, right? But over time, I've learned to really focus on the step 1 instead of step 10. I don't want to know about the latest Ozone plugin until I've got that mix to the point where, hey, adding that Ozone is going to make sense. So, spend more time learning about the basics, and then get good at the basics, and then everything else is going to become a lot easier. These days when we record someone, it's easy, right? We just add a little bit of compression. They've got good beats. We send it through the analog gear, and it's an easy process, right? Sometimes we don't even have to mix analog, right? The material sounds good, and you can add your expertise there. So focus on the basics, and I swear it gets a lot easier. You spend a lot less time trying to notch frequencies out of a badly recorded vocal. You know what I mean? That's not really mixing, in my opinion. That's fixing. You want to learn how to mix. You want to learn how to record well. So focus on the basics, and it'll get a lot easier. Max asks, favorite Rupert Neve element? Rest in peace, Rupert Neve. Yes, rest in peace to Rupert Neve, man. I mean, one of the best to ever do it. Truly. I mean, what can I say, man? I love my Neve 1073. I would assume that when you're talking about an element, you're probably thinking of a module or some sort of device that he's made over time. And yes, I would probably say the best device he's made or module he's made is definitely the Neve 1073 right there. I own one. It's absolutely an amazing sounding microphone preamplifier. It also has an equalizer section, super silky, super smooth. I unfortunately haven't had the benefit of mixing with the newer stuff. So for example, the Satellite, the Portico, Rupert Neve Designs is his own company. He sold the AMS or the company Neve 2 AMS, which is owned by Siemens, I think. So they still operate out of England, and they still make the 1073 module, and I think it sounds amazing. It has input transformers on it, it has a transformer on the equalizer, and it has an output transformer, and you don't need to do much, you just need to do a little bit here and there, and you've got that vocal sound. You smash that into a compressor and it is a good time. So, you know, for those who can't get the real Neve, I would recommend getting the Golden Age Projects 1073 Junior, I think it is based on the exact same thing. And man, all of these mic preamps, these designs are amazing because they're called Class A designs. Class A designs basically means it is a capacitorless design, from what I understand. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just sounds amazing. I don't know too much about the electronics, but I do know that Rupert Neve made some amazing gear. You know what I mean? The 1081 is an amazing module. The I forget what you call the compressor, but the $10,000 compressors sound amazing. I've heard some at the studio before, and they sound great. But yeah, man, you know, definitely deep dive into Rupert Neve's archive. There's so much amazing gear that has come from his mind, and he was a great dude. So rest in peace, Rupert Neve. Kaylin Naidu asks, who are your top 3 producers or engineers? I don't know if I'd be able to think of 3, but I certainly do highly respect Dr. Dre. The reason I have a huge respect for Dr. Dre is because of how he kind of put that polish on hip-hop at the time. You know, I feel that a lot of the dirty, gritty 90s hip-hop and whatnot was cool, but you know, it's really cool to be able to listen to a song with like incredibly hard-knocking drums, and I think guys like Dr. Dre were just absolutely obsessed with making sure that they had the best quality sounds, best quality recording equipment, and the best quality music, and you can definitely hear it. The Chronic is probably one of the best sounding albums just simply because of how high fidelity it sounds. That was definitely Dr. Dre's golden period. And man, it sounds good. I mean, he pushed so much out of those speakers that it's just insane. So definitely Dr. Dre. If I could think of a producer that I like, I probably would say Lex Luger, simply because, you know, if you were on YouTube around 2009, 2010, it was Lex Luger who you found on YouTube. You know, there's Johnny Giuliano and all those guys, but Lex Luger was the first guy to where he had these trap beats, you know, being rapped on by, you know what I mean, famous artists, you know, Juicy J. There were a lot of artists that were rapping on these Lex Luger beats, Waka Flocka, and it just sounded good, you know what I mean? Gucci Man with Lex Luger. I mean, Lex Luger inspired Southside to then inspire TM88 to make beats, and you can see how far that trap sound has gone. Obviously, Shorty Red was at the beginning of it all, but Lex definitely brought in this brand new kind of sound, and it's definitely lasted a really long time. I'm glad to see Lex Luger doing fine, because obviously, you know what I mean, with all the drug stuff and whatnot. But, you know, Lex Luger, top 5 trap producers ever. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to think of a third, but there are lots of people out there, man. So, yeah. Samson4 asks, in genres like drill, the 808s are stereo. What do you think about this? What would you do mix-wise? I think it's perfectly fine. I think it's awesome, right? I think that when genres kind of shift up the sound a little bit, it is amazing. The trap sound is definitely getting dull. I mean, the Nexus pianos, you know, do tend to get boring with the straight 808 pattern. It's kind of getting boring at this point. But, you know, I think it's awesome. I mean, the 808 pans left and right have been going on for a long time. Drake was doing that with the diss track he did a while back. I forget the name. But, you know, people have been panning 808s for a really long time. I don't personally have a problem with that. Some mastering engineers would say that there should never be any low end in the stereo field. You could trim away some of that if you felt it was necessary, but personally, I don't have a problem with it because the 808 is not stereo the whole mix, if that makes any sense. If you ever have a song that you're mixing that may, you know, with the stereo 808 that may be a problem, what you can do is just mono your master channel, and then if the 808 vanishes, you got a huge problem on your hands. But if the 808 sounds mono and it's fine, you got no problem at all, and I wouldn't spend any more time worrying about that. So I love the Pop Smoke 808s. I love the, you know what I mean, Chicago drill, crazy, you know what I mean, rap. I think it's awesome. So yeah, man. Alright, so those are all of the questions I can answer in today's video. Hopefully you learned something, man. Smash like, and I'll check you out next time. Definitely check the links below if you're interested in cool vocal recording courses for FL Studio, my vocal enhancer plugin as well, and check out the web store for all sorts of cool vocal recording templates. Stay well, keep warm out there if you're in the States, or I don't know if it's winter in Europe, but I'll check you out next time. Peace out.